If not, hi Christine. We will, I think we're gonna have to, I don't see Roger here, so Mike,
Hey,
you come to bat.
I'm always happy when Roger's late. He's always got that long list going. Okay.
Hello.
I have 2 items on the agenda. We've got information out of board members in the mail. First is, I'd like to take action on the bid advertisement that was opened 2 weeks ago for the skid steer. We received 1 bid. The document you have in front of you is the formal bid we received from Clinton Tractor for a model L50 skid steer. And I didn't have any other bids, although a couple of companies picked up they bid, and they relied, I think, on their state bid. So for comparative purposes, I correlated the actual bid we received with the existing state bid. And as you can see, the base bid difference is only $57 between the 2 bids. The Clinton Tractor bid on the New Holland has some better amenities of vertical lift. Their snow blades get to a 48-inch width, which the Bobcat model does not, which would be a hindrance to our sidewalk removal. And some of the other items weren't on state bid, so I couldn't even compare them. So what I'd like to do is recommend that we award the purchase of the skid steer to Clinton Tractor for the base bid of, which is inclusive of the V-plow and the unit with the special heated cab and everything for $22,672, plus the additional snow blower and rec center. It will be utilized for ice removal at the rec center. It will be utilized heavily in the parks. We have another grant for $25,000 for trail work in the parks, which those tracks will be utilized so we can get out in the woods. It's a rugged, small piece of equipment that we can do a lot of nice trail work with also. It's going to help us. And the other thing I like about the Clinton Tractor bid is the attachments that we have now existing, our post hole digger, our forklifts, will all work on this, so we'll be able to utilize this Bobcat in installing the fence, because we're doing the fence in the dog park ourselves now. So there's a lot of uses for this piece of equipment.
Mike, I'm sorry. The broom, the 16-inch broom, can you just explain?
I'm not going to pass on purchasing that right now. It's a total width of 60, but when angled.
Without the broom, okay.
Right. We're going to, my recommendation to try to keep this within the budget line, I'm going to, the broom is needed for cleaning sidewalks in the spring, so for this year I'm going to work on a rental agreement if we have to do that to try the broom. And then we may have to purchase that at another time, or just see
and that's just another attachment.
That's another attachment that you just can't have everything. So I'd like to get it, but we don't have enough funds.
I know we talked about the whole sidewalk issue and the job that we start when we start doing sidewalks. You want to talk about that now, or do you want to hold that for?
I have no problem. Essentially, with the state putting in all the sidewalks they're putting in all over, they're expecting a level of maintenance for us. So I think the town, we do have to address our existing laws that are in place on sidewalk maintenance, and we're looking through committee support. We feel we need to take care of the mains. So we're going to start by coming from the village line down one side of Commercial Drive. We're responsible for the entire Rail Trail. That's an agreement we have with the state. We're responsible for property that we own, the Veterans Park, various spots along the way. So we're going to start with a pattern that goes from the village line down the main vein, ties into the Rail Trail and back. And we're going to look at addressing the Nidus Street section of town too, the Chapman Road. We're looking at areas where there are connector lines between schools and libraries and business districts. But as we move forward with this, I'm going to need help from that committee in analyzing what roads we need to be out there doing and what ones we think are going to fall more on a residential basis.
This will be strictly your department that will be responsible?
I'm meeting with Earl and Roger and myself. we're better equipped, not that the highway can't handle it, but in terms of manpower, I think in the winter months, we're a little better equipped to get at this in a 24, 48-hour period. We can do it without the need of overtime. We don't have roads to plow, so we can get out there. But I think that's important too. We have to address that we're not going to be out there
All right, that's been,
as the snow's falling, or if, we want some leniency here. If we know we're going to get 6 more inches of snow, I don't want to waste our time going up and down a sidewalk 3 times in a day. We want to let the snow fall and hit it. And I also don't want to bring people in on a Sunday to plow something that could be done on Monday morning, right? To avoid overtime. So we do have some tweaking to do there, but we need to get the equipment and test run this. So.
And the broom comes into play when we're cleaning the
Well,
cinders
sweeping.
off of, off of.
That was a horrendous problem on Chapman Road in the spring. It's not going to be an easy fix, but we're going to look at ways of, if it's a county road, maybe we can work with the county when they're coming through with their sweeper and trucks doing the road. We can come with them and move everything off the sidewalk into the road and get it picked up in one shot. It's a start. I've taken a look at a lot of other communities too and how they're dealing with it. And the state is looking for, quite frankly, the state's putting a lot of money in the sidewalks, and they're looking for the towns to, they weren't pleased when we didn't have everything cleared this past snowstorm, so they're looking for us to take care of some of this.
Good. Any other questions of Mike? If not, move on the New Holland Model L150. Have a motion.
I'll move on that.
Thank you, Bob. Second by Joe. All in favor? Aye. Thank you, Mike.
Okay, the second major item for our department. Capital project, recreation center, vehicle replacement at the park. We have been searching for solutions for a couple of years now. We have several concerns at the rink. Our lighting capacity is at about 50% of its candle strength when it was originally installed. It's not very energy efficient. Our furnaces are 25 years old. I took Bob on a tour of the rink and showed him the face of our dasher boards. The dasher boards are 16 or 17 years old, and they're getting excessive cracking. We can't really keep up with repairs, so we really feel strongly as people managing that building that we're a year away from not being able to keep up with this maintenance problem. We have a broken superheater which recaptures heat off of our compressors and heats our hot water. It's not fixable. We have a lot of problems with the side of our sidewalk. So the building is showing some signs of it's 27 years old, and we need to invest back into our building a little bit. With that, we put forth obviously a proposal a year ago, and it was defeated, but we're taking another look at this. We're trying to shorten the range of the financing so that we lessen the interest costs. We tried to increase we added the furnaces and some other things that gave us some more payback. So essentially, in terms of the recreation center part of this capital project, we're looking at lighting, furnace repair, dasher board repair, replacement, de-superheater, sidewalk, and we're also throwing in there a marquee board to try to better promote our building. Things that you see at most modern facilities, just by the entrance of the building, what's going on, how to call for. The energy savings on this are approximately $16,400 a year. If you take the rebates away, we're looking at $105 for the rec center, with an energy savings yearly of $16,400. It takes a while to get the rebates, so I figured the payback on the $111. So we're looking at 6+ years for the payback on the savings there. Quite frankly, I think every year we don't do this, we're just losing on those savings, because after the 6 years, the hope is we're able to keep our facility rentals reasonable for our tenants. So that's one phase of it. The other is the park dump truck that I've been trying to battle for 2 years, 3 years. We're desperately needed this truck. Our only other dump truck is a 1987. The one that was taken off the road was a 94. We've been without it for 2 years. We haven't been able to come up with funding scenarios to replace it. We're going to need this truck to pull that trailer and bobcat I just referred to. We need it for construction work in the park, and So I've included that here also. I've got prices that range anywhere from 35 to 39,000 on the dump truck I'm looking for, based on the amenities, and quite frankly, I'd rather go with the diesel and automatic, so that's why the price is set at 39 plus the filing fees. So that's it. It comes out to $150,000 ban we're proposing. There's an additional $5,000 for legal expenses and filing fees and what I've been advised we have to go through. Requesting to the board for the good of that facility and for some energy savings, some real smart things to do, that we take care of this facility, keep it in top shape. And Dale, I think you have paperwork or something.
Well, I applaud you doing this because I see this Kennedy Arena up in Rome where they haven't done anything with it. Now they're trying to raise $3 million because they let the place fall in complete disarray, where this is kind
It's
of
a
like
track you could fall into. We could
stretch
a building out and stretch it out, and then that's what happens. Your repairs get to be astronomical.
You know, going through the tour, especially on the dasher boards, the amount of use that facility gets, and the cracking of these, and you know, you can see where you've tried to do as many repairs as you can on it, but it just seems to be more and more sharp edges are starting to show on those boards. And when you have the little kids over there and the high school kids with the hockey, we're just kidding ourselves if we don't move forward on this from a safety standpoint. And you know, and then also, Mike, I look at how we're increasing our trail system throughout this town. We have to have the vehicles to maintain those trails. When you get down in here into this dump truck.
Yeah, we've been expanding our role in terms of maintenance, particularly in recreational trails. We haven't purchased a new vehicle since '05. And we haven't, like I said, we haven't purchased a new dump truck since '87. The last one we got was used, and quite frankly, we got what we paid for.
questions. Any questions on this? I applaud you for doing this. I've been in business all my life, and you gotta put money back in and maintain it.
Is this all figured into the budget, all these numbers?
The ban, that should affect next year's budget, I believe.
Would be next year's.
I mean, you were putting together a budget, wasn't it, was all this?
I did request it in the budget, but the impact of these items on the parks budget would have been around 23% increase. So it was felt that was just too large an increase to pass on a one-time tax increase. It's kind of, where are they gonna bite me? If I come forward and say I wanna raise my parks budget 25%, I don't think I'm gonna have a lot of happy
You know,
residents.
if it's not figured into the budget, then you pass the budget, and then you come back and ask for it, that drives the budget up. That's my whole point.
But it's not, the answer is the funding the payback will begin in next year's budget. So when we sit down and do the '09 budget is essentially where the payments will begin. Are you talking about paying the borrowing off, or are you talking about why didn't we figure this into our budget, our regular operating budget?
You know, into the operating
Right.
budget before you come back and ask.
But it was requested in the operating budget. As we went through the fall, last year's we requested it was denied, then it went and it was denied again. We tried to put it in this year's budget, but when you took a look at my parks budget is around $650,000 before you take revenue away. If you take the revenue away, we're at around $400,000. So to take an operating cost of $400,000, you're going to throw $155,000 at that. That's going to increase my operating costs well over 30%. So I felt reasonable to say that that's not acceptable to raise our parks budget that much. So you look for what's pretty low borrowing rates at 1.5% or 2% that the government can do. We didn't want to put it over a 15-year period, but to put it over a 1 to 4 year period, we're not looking at too high of an interest hit, and we can hopefully limit the yearly hit on the taxpayer. So that was the rationale.
Yeah. And the revenues that you generate don't even make a dent into what you're asking for, is what you're saying.
Revenues, the recreation side actually is fairly close for its operating budget, but it doesn't make enough money to cover its capital projects. And I don't think there's an ice rink in New York State that does any better than our rink, to be honest with you.
I believe that.
And that's the other side of it is, the way I look at it, quite honestly, is we're looking at probably somewhere between 16 and 20,000 a year in savings. So if I don't do it this year, then we just put off maintenance, and that's $20,000 we didn't save.
We
So
actually,
to put it off doesn't make a lot of sense from a management standpoint.
we actually took a hit on the energy savings too, didn't we? By putting
The
it
way
off?
I look at it, by not going forward last year, we didn't save energy this year. We put it off 1 year, and our building just got 1 year older, so inevitably we have to repair this building to keep it
But we
functioning
also
from a liability standpoint, and if we can save money while we're doing it, then down the road, we're much better off.
It doesn't, it sounds to me like it's gonna take a hell of a long time to recover the kind of cost you're asking for.
Well,
Yeah.
we're looking at a low from Utica Plumbing and Heating from a service company, I looked up the name out of Syracuse, have been through the building twice, and they went through and documented every light bulb, every switch we're using, and gave us an energy consumption savings. Our de-superheater, we know what we're saving, it's not working. That's what what we're essentially doing with a de-superheater is when the steam comes out, we're taking the heat out of the ice floor, out of the concrete. And when you see that steam coming out of the top of the rink, that to me, that's just heat just going away. That de-superheater just recaptures that steam when the compressors are running and moves it for supplemental heat for our hot water heater and for our front lobby heat. So with that not functioning, all that energy's going up in smoke again.
So what do you see in your payback period at the?
Payback is 6.4 years at the low end, at the worst case scenario.
That's providing our friends don't raise any rates, when we know that's not gonna
Well,
happen.
Yeah.
even if they raise rates, we're still saving.
Yeah.
We're just saying, we actually may be saving more because we're saving a kilowatt hour on a higher rate.
Right.
Well, Mike, I'd like to move this project through.
Yeah. We have the highest electrical rates on a kilowatt hour versus, I think Hawaii's only ahead of us, which
Yeah.
is, what a dubious honor that is.
I know that.
Yeah.
And that's because of NYS, whatever they call that
Yeah,
out-
yeah.
outfit. We should be getting our electricity for 1/3 the cost we're paying.
Right up by St. Lawrence.
That's it. That's what I'm proposing.
A second, all in favor?
I'll second
Second, all in favor? Aye. Thank you, Mike, good job, and I just want you to keep our rink up because I see the battles that Rome goes through and also Whitestown, the Bears, and,
Yeah, that's what it is. Any recreation pro, everything else is going well. Attendance has been good at public skating.
public skating.
Skiing hasn't been very good at the park, but
Yeah.
I'm not good about that, so.
Cross-country skiing, right?
it. Back on the sidewalks, you've got an existing committee.
We have an existing committee that I would like to utilize more in an advisory role if I could from what I'm trying to do. And
So you're gonna keep that committee
I'd
going?
like to keep that committee moving. I'd like to take a look at where you guys see that committee going as a board and how I can utilize it in terms of
The sidewalks are gonna be a continuing issue.
It's gonna get larger and larger.
And I think we need to crank that up and.
Yep. So I'll sit down and do a direction we
Get
go.
some people on there.
Get some people on there, if we have volunteers, who like to get involved. I'm happy to do whatever we can to move that forward.
Well, all I know is I watched that Chapman Road sidewalk, I think that's been a wonderful thing. Boy, I see a lot of people utilizing that sidewalk. You got a good thing too, they gotta work that hill coming back up from Washington Mills.
So we need to look at ways that we can complement what the state's doing as a town and serve our residents, and it's gonna take a long time, but we've gotta start somewhere.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay.
Excellent.
Anything else? All set?
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Roger's not here yet?
No, how about this, proceed with taxes?
Oh, I've got the paperwork from Hillary.
Yes.
She wanted the board to appoint Hillary A. Alphant as a part-time clerk sub in the tax office to cover during absences or busy times. And at $7.75 an hour.
And this was a carryover from last month where there was confusion as to whether it was,
Yeah, it was marked
it
full-time.
was marked
Strictly
part-time.
part-time.
And we've done this in the past, it's not an unusual situation. We've had someone filling in, is that?
Yeah, a sub-clerk, yeah.
Okay. Moved by Bob. Second, thank you, Christine. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
And with that, we'll need a budget transfer of $1,500 from contingency to the receiver of taxes, part-time clerk.
I spoke with Carol on that, that's, again, that's the norm.
Yeah.
I'll move that also.
Moved. Second by Rich, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Gail?
Our insurance expires June 30th, and some of the insurance companies have requested that we bump up our time in advertising to give them more time to work on it. So I just need permission to advertise the bids for renewal of our insurance policies.
Based on the great job that he's done, Rich Woodland has volunteered to head it up. We've had savings the last 2 years, so Rich, you know what your marching orders are.
Hopefully get more bids,
Yeah.
Well, that's right.
and chance of savings.
All right, so that was moved by Christine.
I'll second.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Okay, I just wanted to submit, Christine, did you get me on that? It's the annual report that I need to submit to the board on monies received during the prior year.
Oh, this is your annual.
Right.
We don't need any action on that, we're just,
All right.
That will be audited when, whoever's doing our books for 2007. so.
right.
Okay.
Okay, the third item, Margaret Robin, planning board member, has requested permission to attend the 19th annual local government conference in Watertown on March 27th.
Moved by Dave. Second. Second by Bob, all in favor? Aye.
During the summer, Young Duck On had submitted a request to amend the town zone text regarding PHB planned highway business districts. He's requesting that information, that text be amended to allow convenience stores. We referred it to the United County Planning Department, which recommended approval. We referred it to the Town Planning Board, which followed the secret process and recommended that they did not endorse the request. Because although the gentleman was referring to a specific PHB district up along Seneca Turnpike, there are other such districts within the town, and it would affect all those districts. We are at a point where we can schedule a public hearing. However, we must notify municipalities within 500 feet of a PHB, together with the property owners who are in a PHB. So we need some lead time, because I'm going to need to work with the assessor's office to obtain all the names and addresses of all the property owners who could be affected. So I'm looking at,
So is the 13th adequate time or no?
I maybe March 12th,
The 12th.
because the assessor's office, January and February, Paul, am I correct, that that's one of your busiest times?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, again, we could probably work with Kurt or John or somebody on the mapping,
Yeah.
to get it mapped out, and then we'll just go from there.
And it's my understanding too that the problem is not so much a convenience store as it is the gasoline. That's kind of the sticking point.
Also sounds like the planning board needs to do their workup too,
I think the planning board has expressed their concern and does not endorse it. Am I saying anything that's wrong, Kurt?
No, that's correct. Still need to have the public hearing.
Correct.
Okay. And the March 12th would be much better than February 27th. Yes? For the amount of work that we have to get.
Yeah.
Kurt, refresh my memory, wasn't there a turn down a few years ago about someone who wanted to put a convenience store
It was a proposal for a convenience store, gas station, small shops, and storage units up in front of the Applewood development, and that was denied by the town board.
And this is just on the other side.
Correct.
But it would affect a large area, it would affect everything basically from the Onondagas.
It would affect the Onondagas intersection, it would also affect parts of Bursttown Road.
I'll make a motion, we schedule a public hearing on the 12th.
Second.
Second by Rich, all in favor? Aye, thank you. Kurt?
Oh, could I mistakenly, initially I had the police chief here, and I had something under his name. He's unable to attend, and I took it off. The fireworks, application for, the Onondagas. He did refer to some statute that prohibits a municipality from issuing a fireworks permit for private viewing, which this would be considered. I guess I wanted to touch base with.
According to this memo, it appears that we do not have the authority to issue the reference permit. Since this is the first application since we discussed this matter, I'd appreciate your advice. So this was sent to Jerry to review. I don't know if he's done it yet or not.
It's a private party, the Onondagas, and they want fireworks.
Yeah, and it's February 2nd, so if we're going to deny it, we need to do it now and order a refund of their money, because our next board meeting is February 13th.
During the course of a year, we have several request applications for this, and what this is stating is that we don't have the authority to grant these. And who has the authority?
The private one, I don't know how much farther it goes, but
Yeah.
apparently we don't have the authority to grant this to a private individual.
So in other words, they can have it?
No,
No,
we
They
can't
can't.
have it.
Well, the other problem I have with it, I know there was one during the summer, and a gentleman called me whose mother was having chemotherapy, and she was quite ill. And of course, it gets dark much later, and they didn't set it off till around 10 o'clock or 10:30 at night, because they were having a nice time at the party. And I had a real problem with that, to wait till 10:30 or something like that to set these fireworks off. And this is obviously a social event. Of course, it does get dark much earlier.
And
I think we addressed that at 9 o'clock.
We were putting 9 o'clock in the
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, one of the things mentioned in that correspondence was that someone standing by the road seeing it does not constitute a public display.
What would happen if they went ahead with it anyway? Can we close them down, or what would be the mechanism on that?
I can't see
If we don't
Special
have
doing
the
it without a
author-
permit.
If we don't have the authority to grant it, I don't know how we would enforce it unless the police, I know.
If somebody complained,
Well, based on the information we have, we can't approve it at this point.
Correct.
Right?
So I guess we need a resolution to deny it and state why, but recite the statute, and then also include in there the authorization to refund the $75 application fee.
Is Jerry gonna do some more research on this, or, because you're gonna get more of these now?
I think he has. I think
Yeah.
it's clear that we can't.
We can't table it because we don't have enough time.
All right. Then let's, then a motion to.
I'll move it as you've stated it, refund the.
Yep, second.
All in favor? Aye. Wonder if they're gonna stand outside and watch the fireworks? I don't think so. On February the 2nd.
Okay, that's it.
All right. Kurt, did you have a quick item here?
Yeah, I had a request from the planning board members. As part of the GIS for the southern area, it has been identified on several occasions that we haven't not been advertising and notifying the residents as much as we could. What's been requested is there's two possibilities. One would be that we do a mass mailing to everyone within that district. On the high side, that would be minimum $5,000. Or the other option is for us to do a 8.5 by 11 flyer insert that would go inside the penny saver, the OD, and the town crier, along with advertisement within the papers, on the website, and then handouts to businesses, fire stations, libraries, and so forth. Unfortunately, that was not taken into account when we originally did the agreement with the consultants. They are trying to work with us, but the money is pretty tight. The flyers would be not to exceed 1,500, and that would accommodate, I think, the best of both worlds. Supposed to spending $5,000 to do a mass mailing, knowing some people are not in town at this time. And that would actually extend outside of the study area, since it would actually include Leonardville, Clayville, Cassville. So those would be outside, but we'd still have to cover it because they can't select and choose, because that's all under one delivery area.
So wouldn't it be more effective, or as effective, to just do the penny saver and the town crier?
Correct. And that's where the cost difference would come in, depending on how we do it.
So we could delete the OD.
Yes.
Now, there's a legal requirement that we'd have to meet
Yes, and that
at
was
a minimum.
Yes, and that was included in the original agreements with the consultant.
So can we cut that 1,500 down now, if we don't do the OD?
I think if we don't do the OD, we could probably get it down to, I think we'd be looking at around $900 to send it out to, basically be inserting almost 8,000 papers.
I think we should talk to Eve at the Smith Depot and see if they can help us on this.
Okay.
So we're at $900. We don't have to take any action on this?
I think the Smith Depot can help us.
Okay.
We gotta do it, we wanna get the word
Yeah,
out.
I guess the question is, the next meeting is until the 13th, depending on when things have to go. I guess that's why I'm here tonight, because I don't want to authorize something and find out that we didn't want to.
Would you and I talk to Eve tomorrow?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay.
Get back.
Okay.
What's the next meeting again?
It's going to be March 8th.
Where?
1 o'clock at the Willowvale Fire Department.
March 8th. And it has to be advertised, right?
Yes.
What time's that gonna be?
1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's actually a Saturday.
Thanks, Kurt.
Okay.
Roger? Good evening, Roger.
I'd like to start off by giving a little update on our last stormwater group meeting. We had an update by Natick County Soil and Water on the Tilden Ave
Hey,
stormwater.
Roger, could you do me a favor? I'm hard of hearing. And you don't speak very well, and I can't hear a word you say.
Russ, move up.
Jump right in. I can't even hear him over here.
Well, sit right next to him. He can- But
We had an update by Natick County Soil and Water on the Tilden Ave stormwater management and also on the use of the southern reservoirs. Joanne Faulkner from County Soil and Water is working with us on both those matters. We've got some preliminary design work done on the Tilden Ave matter, and we're still continuing to work with the Mohawk Valley Regional Water Authority on other issues related to the use of the southern reservoirs. We also got an update by Shoemaker Engineering on what they have found in their work on the town's southern GEIS. Mr. Nichols identified 3 different types of growth resulting in 3 different scenarios of increase in impervious area and a corresponding increase in the peak stormwater runoff. This will be coming out when the GEIS is presented by Peter J. Smith. The Woodbury Beechwood Engineering matter, Shoemaker Engineering has provided a fee proposal to identify and assess the mitigated measures for the sub-area. Obviously, they did the work on the original analysis, and there was consensus of the group to move forward with this. And the Oxford Kellogg Tibbetts Road matter, there was consensus that the town moved forward to secure an appraisal on some property that would be necessary for detention basins. Woodbury Beechwood, that was the fee proposal for $13,450, which I'll tell you about in a moment. We also agreed that we would go out for a request for proposal to answer some additional questions that need to be looked at in a much larger scope than looking at individual basins. We also talked about the term limits for the members, and we were also looking, as far as the staff goes, and identifying all of the various drainage districts within the town, so we can have a comprehensive listing of those. That's basically what happened at the stormwater group meeting.
Roger, Gail, don't we have to act on his members with the term limits? And so has that been, I know you mentioned you talked about it, but has that been resolved yet, or?
No, I asked the members to talk amongst themselves about how they'd like to do this.
Will you be having a meeting before the next board meeting, or no? Probably not. It'll be the latter of the month. Okay.
So the first meeting next month, we would have that information, term limits.
Second meeting.
It's probably the second meeting.
Yeah, I think his
Okay,
meeting's
all right,
first and second.
yeah, okay.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, on the Woodbury Beechwood mitigation feasibility evaluation, there was a couple of issues with that. One had been the creation of a berm down at the lower part of that sub-area. And also, the group also asked about looking at maintenance issues. And I've had a conversation with Shoemaker, and they have agreed to include both. That they would account for that berm, but it wouldn't be an issue when they do their analysis of the alternatives, and that they would also include the maintenance issues when they do the work. They have a lump sum fee proposal to the town of $13,450, and if the board so approves, would authorize the town supervisor to execute this contract.
This was reviewed by your committee, and
Yes.
they concurred?
Yes.
I'll move that.
Moved by Bob,
I'll second.
second by Dave, all in favor? Aye. Thank you.
When they finally come up with, let's deal with Woodbury Beechwood area, and certainly Tibbetts Road, but when they finally come up with alternatives, a plan, something that can be presented, our plan is then to have your committee review it, finalize or boil it down to one, presumably?
Well, there may be multiple areas for mitigation.
Okay, right. But having said that, at that point then, we need invite all the people that are impacted by it in whatever scope of work we've identified.
Correct.
To review it, and so that everyone understands what's expected. Okay, thanks.
The proposal by Refero for the appraisal was $600, and I would ask the board to approve that.
I'll move it.
Moved by Dave, second by Christine, all in favor? Aye, thank you.
As far as the Kellogg Road building goes, community center, Okay, it's been suggested that the town take a look at that structure to see how structurally sound it is. And in that light, I contacted Zengarelli Engineering, who is a structural engineer, and requested a fee proposal from him. The fee proposal that we got back was for $1,200. And that would be to inspect the building, evaluate the structural condition, determine what repairs would be necessary to put the building back into a structurally sound condition, determine the probable cost construction estimate to make the repairs, and report findings to the town in writing. If that's something that you're interested in doing, we have a proposal.
I think that's something we need to, the spring is coming here, so we're gonna need to
Did
decide.
they also, Roger, check it out for Americans with Disabilities Act and things that all buildings are subject to now, put that in there, so that it fulfills that.
Which building is that?
Community building. at
Community
Kellogg
building,
Road.
Russ, over next to
The
the,
police department, the community building?
The one you're looking at for the police department?
No, the community building where we had the board meetings periodically.
Oh, yeah.
That
in the
building.
summer,
Yeah.
it's closed right now, it's mothballed.
I thought you were talking about the new one you're looking at.
Yeah, Roger, thank you for that information, that'll be helpful.
Do we have any approval for that?
I don't think we're ready to move on it, he's just giving us that information
okay.
for us to decide what we need to do.
Okay, informational deal.
Right.
Yesterday, we received bids on a pickup truck with plow and 2 additional vehicles for staff to use. The bid that came in from Steve Pont in total was for $45,914.88. Second bid that was received was from Don's Superstore, and that estimate was $53,218 and no cents. Based on these bids and the fact that the money is in the budget and these costs are actually below budget, I would recommend that the board approve the bid of Steve Pont in the amount of $45,914.98.
Move that.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Roger, though, I hope this will end any more of the police cars.
I hope so.
They'll not be used by other, when they've got 80 or 90,000 miles on them, and plus idling time.
Right.
Let's let the police just get rid of them.
That's why we got them. They want to make sure.
No, I know, but I've heard some horror stories, and they don't need those. Thank you.
Okay. We have an intermunicipal agreement between the town and New York Mills Union Free School District for fuel. And this is the same agreement that we did about 5 years ago, just needs to be renewed. And if the board so chooses, would request that you authorize the town supervisor to execute on behalf of the town.
I'll move that.
Moved by Christine,
I'll second.
second by Rick, all in favor? Aye. Good arrangement.
Did you get a chance to do anything with it in New York, Susquehanna, and Western?
I looked through the bills.
Okay, are you ready to do anything? Or?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't, it's nothing out of the ordinary, I don't think. I mean, if we've been billed for this in the past, and, I mean, you just.
We normally would have paid it.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's on the railroad
I
inspection.
know,
Yep.
very much familiar with it.
All right, then, I guess based on that, I would request that the town pass a resolution that the town does hereby direct the town bookkeeper to verify that the invoice charges totaling $30,030.82 have not been satisfied to the railroad. And further, that if verified, the town board authorizes the town attorney to communicate with the New York, Susquehanna, and Western Railroad and negotiate a payment schedule, at the end of which the total amount in arrears as determined by the town shall be satisfied to the New York, Susquehanna, and Western Railroad. In addition to that, the town board does authorize the payment of $1,460 for a current invoice for 2008 to the New York, Susquehanna, and Western Railroad.
This goes back 5 or 6 years, doesn't it?
at least.
There were several years that were paid from the prior administration.
Right. And their lawyer now is the new president of the railroad.
We requested a detailed breakdown of exactly where these were and what was
Sure.
done. Did we get that?
Yes,
Yes, we did.
yes, we did.
So you're satisfied we owe?
Yes, yeah, there were several, I mean, there were invoices covering various years, and it had all the locations and what was done at the inspection.
Move.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. These invoices were ignored for years.
Right.
We're thrown in the corner and told not to pay them, and
And we were under contract to pay them.
we are. This is for the maintenance of the, for example, Kellogg Road, and they're very insistent upon it.
The last issue that I have is when the bills went out for the Higbee Road Water District, we had several people stop in the office indicating that, you know, they weren't in the district, or that they had a parcel of land that was vacant, and that they had received a tax bill for that. We've talked with most of the residents, well, we've talked with all the residents that have come in. But the town attorney and I both contacted Tom Myers, who's our bond counsel, and he recommended that we review everything in regards to making sure that everybody who was supposed to be in the district and supposed to be paying was paying, and determine if there were properties outside the district that shouldn't have been billed. We've now done that to the extent that we're allowed to, and what we find was that we have 8 units to the plus and 6.5 units to the negative. Bond counsel also indicated that should we find these situations, and it's not uncommon for it to happen, but that we contact the property owners and indicate to them that, especially if they're outside the district, that they're not required to pay the debt service, and if they're inside, to send them a letter indicating that they are going to be charged. I know we have one situation here where a property owner has the main parcel. They have a very narrow, long strip of land that it sits adjacent to the existing main parcel. And the issue, as he brought to me, was since it's a non-conforming lot, am I still going to be charged for water service, or debt service rather, not water service? And the conclusion that the town attorney and I came to this afternoon was that even though it may be a substandard lot, it's still a buildable lot. It's a lot of record. It can be built on, even though you may have to go and get variances for side yard setbacks and so forth and so on. However, we also made the recommendation that this person combine the vacant lot with the main parcel so that any additional charge would go away in the future. But the conclusion that the town attorney and I came to was that for this year's billing, it should stand because that's what was on the tax rolls. This is obviously up to the board. We've had other cases where people have come in and basically indicated the same thing, that they have a parent parcel and a vacant parcel next door, and a recommendation to them has been to combine the 2 parcels to eliminate that half-unit charge for the vacant parcel. In some cases, the vacant parcel is, they've already paid their tax bill and they're fine with it, but by the next go-around for the next year's billing, they will have combined it. So, and this is something that's up to the board, but.
And you said this lot is substandard, you can't build on it without a variance of some kind?
It's substandard, it's 50 foot wide, and I don't know, several hundred feet long, maybe 300 feet long.
So you need a variance in order to build on it?
Yeah, it's a lot of record, it can be built on, but it's not according to the frontage that's required by the current zoning, it's a substandard building lot. So, you know, it's really is up to the board to, you know, to say no, you know, we're not gonna charge for it this year, or do it this year and combine, and then the half unit charge goes away next year.
Do you know of any other circumstances similar to this case in this water district?
Yeah, but if you do that, aren't you setting a precedent for something like that? Or does that, legally, I don't know, what does your town attorney say?
This was his recommendation.
Yeah? I don't know.
So this is the really only case in this water district in Brandon, pretty much.
He's recommending combining, making it one lot.
He's recommending having the homeowner combine it into one lot.
And you eliminate the half unit charge for the vacant.
But as of this year, the homeowner would be responsible to pay that half a unit.
I think there's only been 2 cases. In one case, the individual has already paid the tax. The other unit is a gentleman that's here tonight. He came to listen to the discussion on this.
What are we talking about dollar wise? I mean, how much is this billing on these substandard
Well,
lots
full unit,
approximately?
I don't remember the exact figure, but it's around $380.
So I have 190.
We could waive that this year,
If you want to.
And then it would be a full lot for,
And then the individual, they waive it this year, they combine the lots before the next roll is made up for the following year. And then
Which is what
the issue goes away.
well, it would appear to me that perhaps we should waive it this year, or could waive it this year. I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but.
I mean, it is a substandard building lot.
This particular one is,
so are we talking $190, or are we talking $380? I'm not sure.
190. 190 and change, I think, but it's half of a unit.
182,
Wait, what is it?
182.
182.
Original price is $4.36.
Now, Bob asked the question, are there any others out there? And you mentioned that there's at least one that has already paid the taxes.
Does it meet that substandard lot criteria, if you will?
I would have to say yes. I didn't look at the frontage on the adjoining parcel because the individual just said, you know, that he was going to combine the two, so I didn't even pursue it any further. But
Was that on our suggestion, or did he want to combine the two?
No, that was our suggestion. Again, he was unawares that this second
Half unit.
parcel was going to be charged at half a unit, and there was no reason to keep them separate at this point in time. He wasn't planning on selling it, so.
I don't know if we want to act on this tonight, but I'd like to get a little more information from the town attorney and to see what other properties might be affected, just so we can have a real, again, you brought up a precedent. I don't want to really set a precedent, but we have some
I think that's good.
rules that we can put in place.
But this other property, though, would that meet the zoning requirements? In other words, could that individual put another house on it without having one for variance or anything?
My guess, my remembrance from the map is that it's a very narrow frontage, so I would have to believe that it's
Similar.
below the current zoning. But then it branches out and becomes wider in the back.
All right, well,
If the board would I just soon table this until next meeting?
yeah, I'd like to check
Some
into
more
this.
information.
I do think we need to act on the ones that are outside the district and the ones that we've identified inside the district that didn't receive tax bills.
You need a motion on that?
I would agree to
I'll
that
make
too, yeah.
motion. I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you very much.
I have one comment for Roger, just since he's up there, and in late fall, when the leaves were still on the trees and the snow started coming down, I received several folks calling about when the leaves were gonna be picked up. And I shared with them that When the weather turns, the highway department will go out and pick those leaves up. And it didn't really take, once the weather did turn, I think a couple of weeks ago, I think, Roger, you pretty much got most of the town.
You did go back out, so.
We did, right, we did go back out around the town at that same time, we were also
Can they
collecting,
give mine?
we were collecting,
I'm mulching mine.
we were collecting Christmas trees and picking up leaves.
And again, I'm not trying but I got a nice thank you card from a resident up in the Woodbury area, and basically.
Should've gone to Roger.
Yeah, I know, but she said thank you to me, and said, oh, by the way, just let the highway department know that the men did an exceptional cleanup, and our street looks so much better, and they're very appreciative of it. And it didn't take a call from me to do it, it was just the normal thing that he was going to do, so.
Thank you.
I want
Nice
to pass
get
that
letters
on to you.
like that.
Yeah. As long as he's still here.
Thanks, Roger.
The question that came up the last meeting about that, issue about the stormwater thing up on Jubilee, remember? That guy brought it up at the last meeting. You were in that discussion when, during the last administration. You said you were gonna check it
About
out.
the acquisition of land up there.
Did Kurt address that?
No.
Kurt, can you just address that topic quick?
Yeah, I did talk to the
Come on up,
individual.
Russ, come on up so that Russ and we can all hear you.
Yeah, I did talk, it was actually Mr. Pritchard, I believe.
Yes.
Mr. Pritchard brought it up.
Yes, and I did give
Neil
him a
Pritchard.
call and talk with him. What apparently was stated, I guess there wasn't, all the facts weren't actually let out. He had thought that there was a violation up at Longworth, that was addressed by DEC. That was not due to anything regarding the approved plans, it was due to the contractor not building them according to the plans.
Right,
Yes, and that has been resolved.
but the contractor at the time, when they were talking about it, and you were in the discussion, was that the contractor was supposed to correct that situation?
Yes.
That was correct, right?
Correct.
Did he?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, unfortunately, the town didn't receive the fines from the court case, but the actual correction was done.
Okay, because then.
There's still an outstanding problem there that's actually been identified by the county, and actually there was a lawsuit back in the 1930s against the United County DPW
Yeah,
regarding that stormwater issue on that corner.
right.
What the town's looking at doing is trying to correct that, even though legally there's, according to the lawsuit and everything that happened with the county, it's not anyone's responsibility individually. And that's where the town is actually hoping to use the
Yeah.
stormwater money to fix that.
Right.
Because unfortunately, the way the laws were, even with Jubilee Estates, they meet the criteria of the law, we just can't force the developer to make it better.
And that's why we're paying for it.
Unfortunately, yes.
Uh,
And that would be
was the
something-
whole
Now,
question.
Jubilee is on the left-hand side.
Jubilee's
on the
right-hand side, and Longwood is on the left. But the issue actually resolves from farther up the hill.
And you did speak personally to Mr. Pritchard?
Yes, I did give him a call.
Thank you.
Actually, Bob had mentioned it to me, and I finally got a hold of him.
So there's no recourse against the developer then?
Unfortunately, I think we've looked at all options regarding that. And there is a drainage district that we can use to fix the problems on the development, but we can't use the drainage district to fix any issues coming off the development.
That was the question that gentleman raised at the last meeting.
Right, Neil Pritchard, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and we are looking through to make sure that all our drainage districts are on the roll, and if we can use them, we will. Unfortunately, there hasn't really been a need for them at this time.
Are we gonna communicate to all the people in the drainage districts?
Once we locate them,
Yeah.
if we have not actually, I believe, billed anyone except for Longworth, or not Longworth, Jubilee Estates for the evaluation. So the other districts have never been charged, so we would really want to notify those people if
Right,
there's been.
but we need to do that and activate those
Correct.
fees.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, Russ?
Yeah, yeah. I just wanted, he's not here, but
Neil,
he was concerned about that. And when he just jogged my memory, then remember the fact that they were supposed to take care of it. He explained the
Yeah, we
situation.
followed up with Russ.
Yeah.
Bob, do you have Your safety committee?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention to Gail, I know we're short one chairperson for that. I'm gonna schedule a meeting with the committee in February and throw it out to them to get their input on how they wanna move forward for 2008. I don't have a date yet for that, we just gotta get everyone involved, and Barb will be helping me with that process. Okay?
I have an appointment here for Joe Booth, who will be the department head of our codes department. And,
I'll move that.
Second.
Second, moving second. All in favor? Aye. Congratulations, Joe.
Thank you.
I just got one thing for
Yeah.
the group that's going to the Association of Towns meeting. On the agenda is Resolution 5, which would enable, as I read it, would enable the towns to regulate speed limits. And that's been an ongoing issue for a long time in various areas of the town. I'm sure you've read it, but I would just call that to your attention and maybe consult with Ray before you go and see whether he's in favor of the towns regulating the speed limit and what's involved there. I'm sure it's a long process, it's nothing that's gonna happen overnight, but it's on the agenda, allowing towns to regulate the speeds.
We have the audit of the bills, with in front of Christine. Need a motion for acceptance.
Hello,
A second. All in favor? Aye. Do we have any other,
Nuisance abatement,
oh,
Oh, nuisance baby.
go ahead.
to introduce the legislation, we prepared to schedule the public hearing.
And we could do it for February 16th.
For the first, yeah.
I'll move that.
Second.
all in favor? Aye. Finally, that's been an
Yeah, that's-
ongoing,
Will you make sure Ray's aware of that?